Vedanta and Privilege, Part 4. Once a gigantic attempt was made to preach Vedantic ethics, which succeeded to a certain extent for several hundred years, and we know historically that those years were the best time for that nation. I mean the Buddhistic attempt to break down privilege. Some of the most beautiful epithets addressed to Buddha that I remember are Thou, the breaker of castes, destroyer of privileges, preacher of equality to all beings. So he preached this one idea of equality. Its power has been misunderstood to a certain extent in the Brotherhood of Shramanas, where we find that hundreds of attempts have been made to make them into a church with superiors and inferiors. You cannot make much of a church when you tell people that they are all gods. One of the good effects of Vedanta has been freedom of religious thought, which India enjoyed throughout all times of its history. It is something to glory in that it is the land where there was never a religious persecution, where people are allowed perfect freedom in religion. This practical side of Vedanta morality is necessary as much today as it ever was. More necessary, perhaps, than it ever was, for all this privilege claiming has become tremendously intensified with the extension of knowledge. The idea of God and the devil, or Ahura Mazda and Ahriman, has a good deal of poetry in it. The difference between God and the devil is in nothing except in unselfishness and selfishness. The devil knows as much as God, is as powerful as God, only he has no holiness that makes him a devil. Apply the same idea to the modern world. Excess of knowledge and power without holiness makes human beings devils. Tremendous power is being acquired by the manufacture of machines and other appliances, and privilege is claimed today as it never has been claimed in the history of the world. That is why the Vedanta wants to preach against it, to break down its tyrannizing over the souls of men. Those of you who have studied the Gita will remember the memorable passages. He who looks upon the learned Brahmin, upon the cow, the elephant, the dog, or the outcast with the same eye, he indeed is the sage and the wise man. Even in this life, he has conquered relative existence, whose mind is firmly fixed on this sameness, for the Lord is one and the same to all. And the Lord is pure, therefore, those who have this sameness for all and are pure are said to be living in God. This is the gist of Vedantic morality, this sameness for all. We have seen that it is the subjective world that rules the objective. Change the subject, and the object is bound to change. Purify yourself, and the world is bound to be purified. This one thing requires to be taught now more than ever before. We are becoming more and more busy about our neighbors and less about ourselves. The world will change if we change. If we are pure, the world will become pure. The question is why I should see evil in others. I cannot see evil unless I be evil. I cannot be miserable unless I am weak. Things that used to make me miserable when I was a child do not do so now. The subject changed, so the object was bound to change. So says the Vedanta. All these things which we call causes of misery and evil, we shall laugh at when we arrive at that wonderful state of equality, that sameness. This is what is called in Vedanta attaining to freedom. The sign of approaching that freedom is more and more of this sameness and equality. In misery and happiness, the same. In success and defeat, the same. Such a mind is nearing that state of freedom.